unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the BDRP Late Show. I'm your host, D. Doss. I'd like to thank the members of our new secret society who have joined us in chat, the anti-Illuminati. So, gentlemen, you know who you are. For the rest of y'all, how are y'all this evening? Miss Katie Sills joined us, Christy Price, Miss Marlene Cobb, Diesel 2K, my boy. Of course, brother Odell, who I had the pleasure of speaking with briefly this weekend. Mr. Aaron Billings, Robert Clark, of course. The great Odell Anderson. This is all I like Odell. I'll say it twice. I mean, I've been wide open. Robert Clark, if I miss you. All right. Thank y'all all for joining me. You know, this is something a lot of y'all have been asking me to talk about. And for various reasons. But drop a 1 in the chat if you are an O-negative. I guarantee you we'll have more than 5. Guarantee you. And there's a reason for that. If you are of O-negative blood, drop a 1. I am myself. This isn't some trick. I don't work for the government or anything. So far as you know. But while we're waiting on that, there are odd similarities between people with O-negative blood. It's almost like borderline supernatural. And I'm not a phlebotomist. I know a little bit about a little bit because I know how to read. So my understanding of AB negative, so see, we got a RH negative, but 1, 2, 3 O negatives. I said more than 5, so watch what I tell you. Capote. So, and folks, when you hear me yelling random stuff on these live shows, it's probably the people in the chat. Just so you know, I don't have like Tourette's or anything. The odd similarities between people with O-negative blood is astonishing. The RH factor itself derived from the similarity between this protein that's found in RH positive people and a rhesus monkey. This protein wraps itself around the white blood cells, and I'm not sure what it does, but it translates into a heavy metal in the blood. That's why Christy, Sarah, Merlin 187, and okay, y'all are O positives. Y'all don't count. So we just got 3 so far? 4. Why is KB in there? KB, my co-host, in the chat with you folks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 people. I said there'd be more than 5. Keep watching. The reason I say that is because when you meet someone that's let me back up a little bit. I'm jumping ahead of myself. The protein that wraps itself around the white blood cell is, I don't know what it's for, honestly. I'm not going to pretend like I do. I don't want somebody to get their game smoked because they're getting medical advice from DDoS. But what it translates to is a heavy metal in the blood. That's why a lot of us O-Negs are iron deficient and other things that we need in the blood. We have to take supplements. But now, you folks are spiritual, whether you observe my faith or not. Mostly everybody that comes to this page, pretty spiritual folk. So what is the essence of a spirit? The Bible speaks on it and how no man knows. And shame on you adults who don't know your blood type. That's crazy to me. I've talked to mothers of 5 people, human beings they've given life to, and nope, don't know it. Don't know none of their kids, don't know theirs. But in any event, If you don't have that heavy metal, we're 90% water, are we not? That missing metal to kind of gum up the works sort of, I think, blocks that spiritual radar a little bit. Not a significant amount, but it's tangible. And I'll tell you why. Number one, the similarity between all O negatives is we all are what do the infidels and heathens call it? Empaths. Most of the ones I've met, if not all, are very, very empathetic. So much so that it's something they can't help. We all, number two, is we all experience to some degree or another some sort of a spiritual manifestation, whether it be in dreams, in person. Um, there's some sort of a spiritual something or another that's always around us, or we're more in tune with that side of the veil. Number three, we all seem to gravitate towards one another. If you were to ask your best friend of all time, the person you felt comfortable talking to the moment you met them, and you're no negative, nine chances out of 10, that person's O negative too. And there's no real discernible explanation for that, except that there's something going on in the world we can't see. Now, you've heard it on, what is that garbage show that they put on the History Channel? Ancient Aliens. Ancient Aliens, of course, as you know, is the History Channel's way, or other interested parties' way of kind of not only I have O negative blood type. That's five, folks. What I'll tell you, we're gonna have about two or three more. So we got Silver Foxtrot, Clay Ellis, Claire Ellis. I'm sorry. No, she has no clue what her blood type is. My boy Odell is O positive. You're coming up the works, Odell. That gummit made me lose count. So we got Foxtrot, uh, Diesel, of course. I knew that. KB, my co-host. Glad she's here with us tonight. Merlin, Sarah. Thought there was one more. Anyways, we are 90% water. Electricity goes through water just like it would a wire, right? So if we don't have all that heavy metal gumming up the works, then technically, if that, and this is just a theory that's been out there, one that I happen to agree with, our spirit is made out of some sort of electricity. That's why I believe that your hair stands up on the back of your neck whenever you walk into a haunted home or something, so-called haunted. That is a bot, and that's really evidence of the power of the spirit itself. The spirit's more powerful than the flesh. The Bible even says that. And that's why our bodies, our fleshly body, has a reaction to an invisible spiritual force. Your hair stands up on the back of your neck. You get chills down your spine. I mean, that's something tangible for something that a lot of people don't believe exists. And it's not ideas in your mind that make you believe this is taking place, because the human mind's a powerful thing made in that image of the creator. Not a carbon copy, mind you, but our minds are pretty. Look at what we've done with this AI. Folks, I don't remember 20 years ago. What was artificial intelligence 20 years ago? Something ridiculous, right? Some kid's toy. Now you can have a whole conversation with some sort of a machine, with some sort of a superimposed voice on a computer demon. I don't know. I'm sorry, folks. That stuff's demonic to me. But I digress again. O negatives, when they get together, they seem to get along better. When we look at the delineation of how we get from AB negative to B negative, so on and so forth, O negative, they say, is the oldest blood type there is. Now, this is a theory. I got to put that somewhere in the title because I don't want anybody to get gummed up or mistaken in what I'm saying. There is a good probability, if you're a Bible believer and you believe that those tribes of Israel still exist today in certain peoples of the earth. Folks, it's 15% of the world. Only 15% of the world have O negative blood. And I have to double check myself on that. That was information from a few years ago. They say that most of the royals and these elite have O negative blood. They call it the blood of the kings or whatever because it is the oldest known blood type. They would claim that it is the blood from the family of our Lord and Savior. Not that he had kids, but he had brothers and sisters. So the church that spawned out of, some would say spawned out of Peter, the Catholic Church with their Maximus Rex or whatever he calls himself with his pointy hat in the Vatican City in Rome on its throne, he would back up this claim, especially this one, because he's very esoteric, very Gnostic. The blue bloods, that's right. Everybody's blood is blue from what I understand until it gets oxygenated. I may be wrong. Like I said, I'm an alphabotomist. I just like to read. Folks, sorry about that. You hear me? I've been sitting up here ranting on. I don't know where I left off, what you guys could hear, so I'll just keep going, I guess. That sucks. The oldest known blood type is O negative, right? The woman's body will reject the O negative blood if she's O negative and the spouse isn't, and vice versa, right? It rejects it like it's a foreign body. It's almost like there's something put in place to keep that bloodline safe. Wouldn't it be just like the devil to mess around? One thing the ancient aliens did say that I do believe in is there was some sort of an ancient technology that either mirrored or even surpassed what we have here. I believe it took place in the pre-flood world, and even before that this technology was probably more efficient because they use more earthen earthen products to build these things. And there's a lot of instances around the world where you can see that, like Grecian fire, Roman concrete, things that we cannot replicate to this day. Grecian fire would burn on top of water, much like if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, like the green fire that towards the end of the first, second season, something like that. Yeah, it would burn on top of fire. I mean, on top of water. This fire would burn on top of water, and we can't replicate it. We still debate on how those giant blocks got to the pyramids. I'd say giants, but even giants would have a hard day. They'd have to use something. They're massive, tens of thousands, 100,000 tons. Like it's madness. So we have these O negatives, us, that lack a protein that's common in the rhesus monkey. Wouldn't it be just like the devil? Even though it's insignificant, it means that, there's more metal in one's blood than the other. Wouldn't it be just like him to do some sort of a nonsense? Because I believe God made everything perfect after its own kind. I don't think he would make us with similar traits to a monkey. And you'll hear people say, "Oh, we're only a few chromosomes away from chimpanzees." Okay, a few chromosomes is a lot when you're talking about a chromosome. We're not talking about a few sandwiches away from tipping 200 pounds. That doesn't. I mean, we're considered sapiens, right? Upright walking sapien type creatures who can think, can build tools, and figure out problems. And that's how Darwin got everybody, because of the similarities between a man and a monkey, right? But anybody who's ever actually read Darwin, instead of just worshiping at his altar, will tell you he was an ardent racist. His cousin, as a matter of fact, created what we know as eugenics to get rid of the socially undesirables, like people with mental illnesses and homosexuals, and of course black folks and everybody else of color. So when you have another Darwin at the same time that the devil's teaching Darwin his theories on evolution. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think I've read it on here once before. I'm more than happy to do it again. Ask one of these people what the name of the original book that he wrote was that gained him all the popularity and threw his theory of evolution out there. The original title does not show up at any university, any library, because it kind of tells tales. Tales about old Darwin and what he was really after. And folks, that guy was so jabroni, it's unreal. He's going theory of evolution. I can't even say adaptive evolution or evolutionary adaptation. That's the word I'm looking for. But we can do that, right? Over thousands of years, sometimes hundreds in some places, you can see where human beings have congregated to a certain place that's away from a geographical location or a weather pattern that they're used to. And over time, their bodies will slowly grow hair or grow more hair. They will figure out, and God will figure out, he's already planted the seeds in us to survive in that environment. If we can't do it somehow naturally, we'll use our minds to build things and put things together like coats and build fires. So when you hear how this big dead ball of nothing all of a sudden blew up, and from that nothing came all these planets, and on those planets somehow they're developed an atmosphere with just the right chemical makeup, which is going to be impossible. They can't replicate it in a lab. That's why you have the CERN Large Hadron Collider. I mean, once you really start digging deep into it, folks, they don't even teach your kids. When's the last time you came home and your kid had a homework on Charles Darwin? I mean, good night, folks. Let's get real. They know that it's a bunch of hogwash. And the further we get in time, the more we learn about quote unquote outer space, the more you can see just how ridiculous and how big of an op it was. They ran an op on us, as they like to do. Darwin had a lot to say about blood types and things of this nature as well. So, of course, everybody knows it as Charles Darwin's Theory of Evolution. That's the name of his first book, right? The original title. In case anybody thinks I'm kidding around, I'm going to throw it up here. But see, you have to ask yourself two questions. Number one, if that's so important for us to know, then why would they cut off part of the title? Because the title is giving you an explanation of the contents of the book, right? You'd hate to pick up a Batman comic book and you get home and you see Archie having fun with Betty and Veronica. You'd be mad about it, and rightfully so. So actually, the Theory of Evolution, the book was called On the Origin of Species. Uh-oh, they must know I'm telling on them. Dropping a dime on them. All right. Just so I don't make myself tell. All right, here we go. See, old Dion wouldn't try to pull no flim-flam on you with this, folks. Try to give you as accurate information as I have. Which most of y'all probably knew this. I guess y'all can see it. The origin, I'm sorry, Charles Darwin's on the origin of species by means of natural selection, or I'm sorry, I think it's supposed to be for the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Favored races. Well, who might that be? Whoever's got money in that are his friends. His race didn't have anything to do with it. They were, killing those poor kids who were what we would call mentally handicapped today, or socially awkward, even the socially undesirables. I mean, isn't that a wicked thing? God is not a respecter of persons. He made us. So what are we supposed to be? Oh, Luke, I was just seeing if I had one of you guys in here. Like, hey, listen, if y'all ever decide to get a podcast. And when you're talking about anything about space, say so-called outer space and watch people's heads explode. It's fun. Anyways, I digress yet again. The reason I did this O-Negative thing, because within these similarities, there's also one other thing that seems like it happens across the board. They feel like no one can understand these things, these similarities, this weirdness that we all go through, right? Well, I'm here to tell you your heightened sense of awareness of the spirit world. Let's call it that. And you're overly empathetic sometimes to your own detriment. That's not something that's unique to you. But I'll tell you what. Oh yeah, we retain information faster. We store it longer, solve problems at a quicker pace. And I mean, I had the paperwork for you. I thought this was tomorrow, I'll tell you the truth. But there's only so much a paper can tell you. This is a spiritual matter. So why would Satan want to corrupt, just in the smallest, most insignificant way, anything about human beings? We are made in the image of God. God's the creator. We're creative. A lot of people don't understand. You hear a lot of folks talk bad about themselves. They put themselves down. Uh, that's a vibration. That vibration goes out there into the world and it manifests into something else. That's why you notice if you're surrounding yourself and inundating yourself with people who say good and positive things, who are uplifting instead of folks who will knock you down when you do something wrong, you notice that the entirety of your life and everything in it seems to be that much easier. Your thinking patterns aren't filled with sludge that just slow you down like you're walking through mud. That's scientific and tangible. That's more scientific than Darwin's theory of evolution. And I'll find this video for you. There's this gentleman, scientist of some sort, who wanted to prove this theory. And he took it to the next level, and he got glasses of water and a nuclear telescope and spent all day, cussing at one glass of water and saying nice and beautiful and gracious things to the other one. And then he put droplets of water under this microscope. And what he saw were two completely different universes. Under the one that was inundated with just mean things and nothing positive, nothing remotely positive was said to it. It looked like murky sludge and oil and ugliness and degradation. It was just terrible. But on the other hand, the one that was spoken to in a positive manner, it had these 8-dimensional geographic snowflake-looking crystals that were beautiful and shaped and patterned. And they all of them were the same, yet they were their own individual. That was a glass of water and a man's vibration as he's saying, not screaming or anything, saying bad things to it. That was imprinted on and into that water. We're 90% water. So another thing, forget where we're at, D. When O-negatives feel isolated or depressed, they tend to isolate themselves even further. That's what we don't want. Frequency and vibration is part of the keys to understanding the universe, according to Nikola Tesla. And that goes for everybody. Like most people, especially in the 21st century, this 20 some odd years in the 21st century, nobody can take criticism, whether it be positive or negative. We justify our moods by the feeling that we have in the moment. Wow. See, wish you would have said this online, because this is that Rex must have made a comment, but this is very pertinent to what we're talking about. They definitely try to beat our critical thinking skills out of us. They don't have to beat them out of us. They surgically dissect them with great precision. Every time somebody opens up TikTok and they find themselves on it for hours because of the rhythm and the algorithm that's placed in it is inundating and pushing its way into your mind. And really, it's slowing down your ability to not only critically think, but to actually delineate information in a correct way, to process it, to understand it, because it's 60-second increments. That and it's slowing down our attention span. It's doing something terrible to our attention span. I don't know what exactly, but people's attention spans, I'm talking about adults, not just kids, something's different about it. O-negatives. If you ever get any paperwork in the mail, them thanking you for donating your blood and wanting you to continue to do so and going into these studies, I can't tell you not to, but I suggest you don't. Because rumor has it, of course, we're the universal donor. Angel blood is what my mama used to call it. She was an O-negative as well. Also prone to seeing and experiencing spiritual matters. Also a willing vessel for the Spirit of God in power and heavy duty power. So you have to guard your heart, as the Bible says, and your mind, because what we take into our mind has a place of taking root in our heart. There's so much madness and wickedness out there. News is nothing but killing, and how many children are accidentally killed in drive-bys just sitting on their front porch, not bothering a soul. Never wake up, no tomorrow. That has an effect on you on a deeper level than you can think, especially when you become softened to it. I had to quit playing video games, not because I wanted to, because that's sort of what the spirit with the capital S was resonating to me, that there was no good fruit in it. And it was destroying the most valuable resource on this planet. Something that the Bible even says that will start to speed up and we'll have less of in the days that we're in. Which we've talked before, how the days seem like they're just flying by. Summertime when we were kids, we were watching the street lights, hoping it would hurry up and come on so we can eat and go to bed. Because one day of the summer seemed like 2 days of what we have now. And TV is terrible for you. It's small increments, yeah, but read some stuff. Go on one of these scientific journals, or one of their websites. Learn something that's tangible for the world you live in. Don't get me wrong, I like Sopranos. Love that show. If I was going over a buddy's house, I could sit down and enjoy an episode. Am I going to put it on when I come home? No, probably not. More than likely not. That is called programming. The whole tell, love, vision thing. They're telling you a vision while they're programming you, and you're channeling that information. Switch through the channels, right? So I find it mighty funny. The names that, and if you look at the old school, the first TV ever made, even some today, and look at the dials that they have in them, look a lot like demonic sigils. I think some in the TVs in the 60s and 70s were. You can check me out on that. There was a guy who did some brilliant research. I wish I could remember his name for you. But he would set these sigils side by side with these little, there's a word for them. I know Odell's going to help me out. Odell's the smartest man in his part of the country. He's the I'm telling you, he's the, what's his name? The Iron Man of Tennessee. Each day is getting shorter. It feels a lot shorter, and it's unrelenting. But we were told that. See, we got the playbook, so we don't have to be surprised. We can pretend like we're surprised and be of the world, but I don't want to get my game smoked for that. I'm sure you don't either. JB, you have a link coming to you right now, ma'am. JB, you had another of what I like to call a real human being. Yeah, folks, I appreciate y'all. I know y'all see the same things I see on the channel. There's a silly group of people going around like being very rude and discourteous. I appreciate y'all not engaging with them. Usually when I see it, I used to engage with them, but I just delete it and keep going. That's, it's too much negativity. It's not worth our time. And just pray for them. Pray they get, the restored mind of Christ and all that good stuff. So there you have it. I had a whole script written, but like, yeah, this is for tomorrow night. That's what I had off the top of my mind. Is there any questions about O-negative blood? I mean, I could. Okay, let me say this. Having done this and for a while and interviewed, I don't know, countless people. That's how I learned these similarities. It just I actually have a profile, and you would be surprised. There's not one person that I can think of who did not experience any of the things that I've told you. Every last one of them. So I took that. This is a microcosm of the real world. You have people that believe in this, people that believe in that, except we're all drawn together by weird stuff. So we're a representation of a bigger population of people, right? So you would naturally assume that if it's happening to this small little minority, it has to be happening en masse, right? So without there being a reasonable explanation for blood types, seeing as how all races and all cultures, a man from Nova Scotia can have AB positive blood, and a man from Hong Kong can have the same. I believe, as a matter of fact, in Asia, they have the largest conglomerate, the largest population of O negative people for whatever reason. Outside of this small island tribe who all have blue eyes, orange hair, and I think very pale skin. What's up, Cowboy 5 Rings? Cowboys ain't getting no more than that. What's up, Stump Squatch? Glad you can join us. Folks, we have North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project founder and lead field investigator in there with you, Mr. Cordos. He is a good friend. He's the old admin on my page where I first started my research. We got some celebrities in here. Boy, I tell you what. Peter Birdsall. Folks, I will tell you this. Drop a 1 in the chat for any of y'all who've been experiencing spiritual warfare over the course of this weekend. And drop a 2 if you know someone who's very close to you who've experienced like heavy duty spiritual warfare over the weekend. Because it seems like somebody's turning the dial up somewhere. For you new believers, I don't want you to think, because I don't get to fellowship with all of y'all on a daily basis. I don't want you to think just because you have just now came to the knowledge of the Lord and you've given yourself to him, that all this spiritual rigmarole that's just beating you down right now is anything but normal. It is. That's what happens. You didn't do anything wrong. You did something right. Because if you were still running and gunning and doping and drinking, then they'd leave you alone. They'd have you. But you've given yourself over now to the shepherd. You're part of his flock. So they're definitely going to try to pick you away. And it'll happen on the onset. That's when it'll be the hardest. When you first give your life to the Lord. I just want to give you a word of encouragement. Don't give up hope and don't think that you're alone. Reach out if you want. You know my email address. It's oklahomadoss@gmail.com. There's plenty of people on this planet. Yeah, there's plenty of people on this planet and plenty of people on this channel and this network who will be more than happy to speak with you, chop it up, pray, whatever you need. Because that's the most, besides time itself, that's the most important commodity, is having brothers and sisters who's willing to take time out of their day to speak to someone, their spiritual little brother, little sister. Super duper important, folks. And then here's another thing. I don't know. This just came to me. Don't let anybody try to beat you down with the sins that you felt and know are forgiven. That's another attack. They'll pick your past up and hold it up to your face and say, see, here, this is still you. Me and you both know it's different. He makes you a new creature, not a new man or a new woman. He makes you a new creature, for he makes all things new. That peace that surpasses all understanding that you feel, that's biblical. It doesn't go anywhere. Just things get piled on top of it sometimes. So, yeah. That was just given to me to give to you. Somebody needs to hear that. Encouragement. We need that more than beating somebody down. That was a commercial from the Baron for healthy living spiritually. Anyways, folks, how about we do this? How about we do a part 2? And I sincerely apologize. I don't see how DW does it. Guy is a beast. Like I'm tackling maybe a quarter 30% maybe of what he's doing. And I'm sitting somewhere up right now with one leg up, one leg down, like I just got in a car wreck. So big ups to big homie DW. Yeah, wow. So any questions before I jump off here? Maybe if y'all ask me some pointed questions, I can give y'all some answers, and I'll come back with the information that I want to pass on to you guys. But that's something to think about until then. Thank you, Perot Vachu. Sounds like a badass French detective novel or something. Perot Vachu. And another thrilling adventure. Sweet dreams. I'm not going to bed. I can't. Oh, yeah, you're in jolly old England. You shouldn't have been in bed, huh? Did you get out? Did you get out in left field? Oh, did you get out in the field? Man, I need some new glasses. Yes, I did, actually. Thank you for asking. I got out in the field, and I got to interview friend's mom, basically my mama. And it was fantastic. She belongs to a very big tribe down here, and she's inundated with all these stories from when she grew up. It's amazing. I'm going to try to get her on here. That would be the bee's knees. There's a couple of descendants of the original signers of the peace treaty of the 8 civilized tribes that are traditionalists that I've talked to in the past. They live here in town. I'm going to try to get a hold of them again. I did not get to talk to the ranger, no ranger. So, but yeah, it was pretty productive. It was like a little scouting mission. I enjoyed myself. Oh, there's another Rex and Rex. We got some more members of our other group. Oh yeah, for all who are interested, I was going to run the Sword and the Spirit stuff, the biblical specials I put together on this channel, but I'm actually the channel's already built. I'm going to put it under my original one. There's a lot of you guys who are subscribed to it already. It's called DDoS Presents. I'll drop a link in the chat and put one in the description. I think it'll be best if we separate the two, and because he's giving me that light, and folks will see it and they'll say, "Hey, what's that?" And I'll say, "Well, come over here and I'll show you." That, and if he's separating the wheat from the tares, who am I to try to, you know what I'm saying? Because y'all have seen it before, and not often. That's what's cool, but nobody wants to deal with some infidel or a heathen day in, day out. You know what I mean? It's cool if they're like a true heathen because they'll respect your religious beliefs. I respect theirs. Just mine's right. So those infidels you got to watch out for. And I'm talking about the biblical infidels, not what those other guys talk about. Which you'll never hear me talk about our Islamic citizens or anybody else who belongs to that faith, because they are children of Abraham as well. The founder of their peoples was named Ishmael. So you got to keep that in mind. If we're blaspheming the church by talking bad about it or the people within it, then yeah, I'm not going to get my game smoked. He saved that boy and his mama in the wilderness and gave them a goat to eat, didn't he? So who am I? World Weather Authority is with us, folks, for all your weather needs, no matter whether you are in the United States. I suggest World Weather Authority here on YouTube. Ha ha ha, indeed. It is truly interesting yet scary, weird encounter. The detail. Wait a minute, that's not what I saw. That ain't my damn watch. Nah, well. Man, y'all are wide open in there, aren't you? Well, thank you, Claire Ellis, for clearing that up. I'm dumb, okay? I'm a dumb country boy. I was trying to sound smart. Gosh. Islam is an ideology, not a religion. I apologize. For me, Jesus is the truth, the life, and the way. That's all. You know what I mean? So, in any event, thank you, Steve Wolf. I sincerely appreciate that. He said I had a good flow going. I don't see how, bro. Like I was freestyling from memory the O negative stuff. I had 5 whole pages back and front written for you, like step by step how I came to this knowledge. But you'll get it. I hadn't talked to y'all in a few days either, have I? I'm just trying to prepare because I want an avalanche of content for you guys. Rick Steele, I don't believe that you mean that. Bless your heart. Sounds like, the older ladies when somebody's kid is stupid or does something stupid back in the day. Well, bless his heart. Yeah, I found out when I was older that means like the parents are calling somebody an idiot. Some kid will break a teacup every time his hand touched it. Oh, he's just clumsy. Bless his heart. He's just a clumsy dummy. But anyways, I don't want to take this one too far off the rails. We have about 10 minutes to our hour, I think. No more questions? Drop a 1 in the chat if you are a part of the secret society here at BDRP. I got something for y'all tonight. I thought I sent a link to Jables. There's some big things on the horizon for you folks. That's it's like a seesaw. The more goes on backstage, the more DW put out front. Then I'm like, well, hell, slow down. Can't slow down. Put his, as he would say, I put my foot all the way down in it. But I'll go Hannibal Lecter. I'm, slower, more. No, I have a problem starting something. See, I'm an artist, and that's the problem. Growing up playing violin, teaching myself drums, play a little guitar. Like, there's notes. The note has to hit, or you're messing up. So I'll just make sure I'm practiced up. Any musician in here will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's you're so creative that it's a stumbling block for you. And I'm not saying I'm Rembrandt or something like that, but OCD. That's what you'll sum it up as, OCD. Oh, there'll be ministry. I think the Lord said even if he had the rocks preach his word, they'd do it. So no questions? All right. Let's watch a video together and then I'll send you on your way. And this is for all you folks who work hard jobs, dangerous jobs. Never be too careful, especially in industrialized places, warehouses, distribution centers. I'm not going to do that to y'all. I'm not going to do that to y'all. I was about to play nothing. Never mind. It was a safety video. But I don't think I've ever been able to stay awake during one of those safety videos. But I do have something for you, as a matter of fact, that's cryptid related. How about that? So, back in my younger days, a handful of years ago, there was a Bigfoot. This Bigfoot, as I was filming to win $500 in a scary Halloween contest at North Central Texas College, followed me on a trail in Brown Springs. I was getting all this what they call B-roll footage because it's witches woods. It's a floodplain, so like the waters will rush through and they'll like expose a lot of the roots. So you'll have these gnarly knots and roots coming up out of the ground. It's always dark in there because of the canopy and all that water running through it. The red Oklahoma clay. So it's the perfect scene for a horror movie. And I was just gonna like narrate some Edgar Allan Poe on top of this B-roll footage and put some scary royalty-free music on it and call it good. Get my $500 and go on about my business. As I was leaving, and I had this weird feeling in there the entire time. As I was leaving, I heard some footsteps following me out. I didn't see anybody the whole time I was in there, and went in there fairly deep, 3/4 of a mile, because I didn't want any kind of, even though there's not, I didn't want any kind of noise pollution from even the old dirt road where you turn off to get to this area. So we're out there and it's stone cold quiet. No crickets, nothing. Fish aren't jumping in the river. You don't hear anything. It's like you hear folks talk about that vacuumless pocket. And again, as I was leaving, I heard footsteps behind me. I'd stop. It would take one more step like it was mid-step, and it would stop. So I stutter stepped it, and it took, a quick step, and because I pulled a flim flam on it, and you could hear it move. So I said some expletives, and because I just thought it was some old redneck boy trying to be cute or something. I told him, bro, I'm gonna break your jaw if you come out from behind one of these bushes trying to scare me or something. I'm gonna tell you right now, I got a gun on me. We got these hands, so I'm just saying, nothing. Keep walking. It's getting closer, and it's covering a whole lot of ground compared to me. I'm 6 feet, right at 6 feet, and it's taken 2 of my steps, and I got them long chicken legs, foghorn leghorns. I could take off and walk and leave somebody in the woods, but this thing is like covering a lot of ground, and I heard it in the not so far distance, but then it seemed like it was on the other row of these bushes, these hedge bushes on the other end of this bluff, going into the floodplain. And I stopped again, and I don't know why I did it to this day, but I whistled. And I've had people in the field tell me that's my superpower. You probably hear me all the way in the state of Texas across the river whistling. But I whistled, and it whistled back the tune that I whistled at it, and blew its lips like blue raspberries at the same time. You know, when kids like playing their milk, that it whistled and did that at the same time, which is impossible, folks. You tried. You get the prize if you can record yourself whistling and blowing your lips like that at the same time without it breaking that tune. So I heard that and immediately got this. It felt like somebody threw ice water down my back. And I didn't smell any like weird bummy smelling pee and dookie smells like you smell that only a few times in there. That's why I believe they're like gorillas and they can use that. That's like how gorillas have a gland underneath their armpit that can secrete a pungent odor as a defense mechanism. I believe these beasts have the same thing. But during that particular one, which was my first encounter with anything of that nature, cryptid, that cold chill came up my spine and it felt like I was just locked in place for 5 minutes. I'm sure it was only a few moments, but it seemed like Tom did something very, very strange. And part of me wanted to go over the other side of that bluff, on the other side of that hedgerow, whatever, those bramble bushes, and look at it. But when that thought crossed my mind, I got this knot in my stomach. I was like, nah, it's time to get some yonder. It's time to skedaddle. And I went back, I believe it was the very next day or the day after that, and had my first sighting. And was going in there religiously for 3 years straight. And then, of course, off and on after that because I moved away from the area. And I say that to set you up to see this, because this is when you inundate yourself in this area and you, without making a pest of yourself, without, aggravating them, they won't necessarily have tea parties with you, I don't think. Maybe. You've heard some people say, yeah, the Bigfoot, like the gentleman on Sasquatch Chronicles, who was a truck driver, who the Bigfoot was leaving its young with this woman to babysit. The ones I deal with don't want, outside of just I'm their human. You know what I'm saying? Like they trust me to a certain extent. And in this video, you will see how much they do, because they're allowing, for whatever reason, one of their young to practice hiding on me. And as it's practicing hiding, it sucks because like it's under an exposed root with a leaf that it's holding in front of its face. And it's got this weird smile on its face. So a couple of people said that the last picture was blurry. There's an explanation for that. You won't see one that's crystal clear like you'll open up in a magazine. The area in which these things seem to congregate it has its own strange electromagnetic field that I think they tap into. I don't think it's just the creature themselves that are draining batteries. That would make them some sort of a futuristic technocrat with with a technology that's beyond our understanding because it looks like they're just a bunch of hairy cavemen out there, right? Monsters. So how do they have some sort of a device that they can control that can drain batteries? Or is it this environment coupled with whatever environment they bring? Because they bring their own atmosphere with them, folks. You'll know when they're coming around, like before they get there. I believe it's something that has to do with their own personal energy in any of these areas. That there's some correlation there. You don't just find them everywhere, but where you do find them, you find Native American cemeteries, places of tragedy where there's blood in the ground. Remember in Genesis when Cain slew Abel? What did God say to him? Your brother's blood cries up to me from the ground. See how I brought it all the way back around? That's professionalism. So without further ado, this is the practicing juvie Sasquatch. Some people say dog man. There's both in the area. I wouldn't be surprised, but neither one of them bother me. And when they don't want me in there, they let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Odell, I got you, brother. Let's see your question. All right, we'll do it this way since nothing wants to cooperate with me. More than one way to skin a cat. Who came up with that? Like, what were people skinning cats for so readily back in the day? Witches. Answer my own question. What kind of lame music did I put on there? All right, folks, here we go. Okay. Screen. Cooperate with me. All righty. What the hell kind of music did I put on here? Where's that volume thing at? No. All right, check it out. Another way you can tell, because a lot of people can't see this stuff. I know it is what it is. It's the area. Not everybody's a terrible photographer. All right, I tried to put it through many different filters. Right here, you have an eye. You can see the tufts of hair. It's laying out prostrated. You can even see like the bend in the calf and the legs. Foot back here. Just the hair, the fine lines on the hair is amazing to me. But I'm telling you, these things plus the areas that they're in, they're doing something to the environment and those cameras and the batteries in them. So, see, there's an eye. It's got this leaf in front of its face. This is the exposed root right here. And it wasn't necessarily on a hill, but it was on this upward slope where it kind of stepped off and then it sloped up again. See, it's like arms are going out this way and kind of holding itself up on its elbows. Now this filter, like you can really, it looks like a little Ewok. So you can see where the part of the face that doesn't have any hair, the fuzz or the hair. I don't believe it's fur. A lot of people say it's hair. I mean, that's pretty pronounced. And of course the eye, boom, boom. But the thing about it is, I'm throwing the blurry ones out there because there are clearer ones, and I kind of want to like show you the progression. And it seems like the older ones are the more blurry ones. So but anyways, folks, tell me what you think. Did y'all see it at all? Y'all like that music? That seemed like unnecessarily weird and dramatic. So
This is where we fight!
In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man.
All right, thank you for joining, folks. Sincerely appreciate it. I will come back and do a little bit of a follow up in about an hour or so. I sincerely appreciate each and every last one of you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for our executive producers and everyone else who's contributed, and the secret elite of the BDRP. God bless y'all, and I'll see y'all in a few hours.